Hey cycling community, this is Steve, Grusis the Cycling Greek. Let me start off by getting my excuses out of the way. I am 68. I am subject to atrial fibrillation. 4 days ago, I got out of this boot that I had to be in for 3 weeks because of a stress fracture, and now I'm dealing with an Achilles heel problem. With all the things I had to do today on Sunday, I found this 50-kilometer race, that the timing worked out for me. And they had a category E going from 1 watt per kilogram to 2.9 watts per kilogram. And because of my situation, I thought that was perfect. The day before, I went with a couple of training partners and we did an endurance paceline workout for about 50 miles. Well, as it turned out, at about 25 miles, my Achilles heel was giving me so many problems that I thought I'd better turn around. And so they turned around with me and we took a slightly, but only slightly easier pace back in. Not knowing how my foot was going to do in this race, I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't feel any pain at all. And I was thinking, maybe I can cancel that appointment with the orthopedic. Going to the action of the screen, it seemed like we were going just a tad slow, but then I didn't know what the course was going to be like, and from what I understood from the comments before the race started, that there are going to be some climbs in this race. So maybe that's why everyone's going slow. Still, I decided to test my legs a bit and see what happens if I just go a little faster and see if anybody goes with me. Well, this happened at a sprint point, and about 40 seconds later, we all came back together again. Jumping ahead again, I'm at about the 40-minute mark, and I started this climb at about 8 minutes, and I didn't jump away, I just kind of accelerated and just kept on my pace, and then I was alone for all this time. And now I have a couple people with me, and my leg, my Achilles tendon actually, is starting to talk to me. I was joined by 33-year-old Stawomir Kapka from Poland, and Linus, what's his last name? Linus Stremmel from Germany, age 28. Now, that's about 10 minutes later at the 50-minute mark. On the kind of rolling descent part, Linus is starting to roll away. With having done a bunch of climbing already and not even being halfway done with the race and not knowing how much more climbing I have to do, I decided to be a little more conservative. Actually, on top of my Achilles starting to talk to me more and more, I was just beginning to run out of gas. After I decided to ride Kapka's wheel, he decided to bridge up to Linus. I then was thinking maybe I was having a weak moment, so I picked up the pace and I'm going now into VO2 max territory, and I'm starting to, at least I'm hoping that I'm bringing Kapka back, who seems to have stalled a bit and he's having trouble getting up to Stremmel. My adventure into VO2 max zone did not last too long. So now I've dialed back quite a bit. I'm trying to minimize loss, but I'm also looking at the graphics on the right side, and I see that there's 2 riders about 22, 23 seconds behind me. I figure I'll be seeing them. So I keep whatever pace that I can in an effort to maybe get to the top before those other 2 that are chasing me. And who knows, maybe the 2 in front of me are going to die out a bit and are going to slow up. A little while later, I was caught by 30-year-old Luka and 44-year-old Gregor, both of Slovenia, and I was able to crest with them. Well, the cresting was actually at the top of that initial climb. There was still a lot more climbing to do. I'm 15.3 miles into this race, and there's still another 17 and a half to go. I usually stayed away from Zwift events that had a lot of climbing in it. Even though this race was 50K, I figured that 2,200 feet was not going to be a lot of climbing, but for me it was. I spent about 45 minutes on that initial climb, and I spent a lot of time in tempo and threshold, which made it a good workout for me. However, that effort was a challenge to my Achilles. I tried to adjust my spin so it wouldn't challenge my Achilles so much. So what I would do is not articulate my foot. I would also focus the spin from my hips and not from my legs, and that seemed to help. But this was a long race, especially because of all the climbing, because ordinarily, if it was a flat race, I would probably be done in right about now, a little over an hour or so. But we still had about 9 miles to go, and we've already gone 75 minutes. Finally, I thought it was best just to let these guys go and just pull myself out of the race. As it turned out, Lukas Stremmel won the race, with Kapka coming in about 29 seconds later. Next time, I'm going to look for a much shorter race. Now, speaking of shorter races, in the description below, I have a link to a race that I did in my boot about a week ago. It was a shorter race. It was one of the Dolphin Crit series. There's a lot of action, so definitely check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. And as always, you know the drill. Comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.